Hey everyone, welcome back to Crime Wire Weekly, and we are going to jump right into the topics for today's episode. And we're going to start off telling you about a groom accused of killing the bride's dad at the wedding.
Talk about that didn't start off well at all.
No, usually it takes a while before you want to, I shouldn't make a joke there, but usually it takes a while before you don't get along with the in-laws. Yeah. However, the charges got dropped.
Oh. All right.
So maybe he didn't do it. We're going to tell you all about that.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're also going to talk about Boosie BadAzz, who is back in the news. He posts his bond after a scuffle involving a hookah base, which I didn't even know what a hookah base was until I got into this. How do you say it?
Hookah.
There you go, hookah.
Hookah base sounds like the home base for all the hookers to go meet their pimp.
That is, that's the base camp for hookers. Well, we're going to talk about that. An ex-wife attempts to kill her sleeping ex-husband in Ohio.
That's not creepy.
Well, there might be a lot of ex-wives out there saying, how did she do it?
Oh, my God.
It might be.
We're joking for entertainment purposes only.
A rival barrel racer stabs the competitor's horses.
No.
In a Las Vegas championship event. I knew you wouldn't like that one, Kelly.
Line on that one.
And we have a lot of new segments we're going to be introducing. One of those is called Lustful Lawbreakers. I'm not going to cover what the subject is we're covering today, but you can tell by the name of the segment, it's probably something to do with lust.
Lust. One of the, what is it, 7 sins?
Yeah.
Isn't it 7?
7 deadly sins.
Wait, do you know what those are real quick?
Gluttony, greed. I know 2 of them.
Because we have them. We like to
I guess
eat.
if I sat there and thought about gluttony, greed,
lust, right?
Lust.
Gluttony, greed, lust.
Envy. I can't think.
Oh, man.
Think of the rest.
All right. We'll have someone right now screaming at us. It's this. Sorry, guys.
All right. We'll get back to the topics. We're going to also have a Foolish Felons segment where a Louisiana man dubbed the Poopetrator is arrested. This occurred in our neighboring parish. So we're going to tell you about that. International Indiscretions, a YouTuber who faked a live stream to cover up a murder, gets 31 years in prison. That's going to be a new segment. We have another update in the cruise line murder of Anna Kepner that just came out in the news. We're also going to have a new, this isn't a new segment, but the True Crime Time Machine is going to be going back 57 years today. We're also going to tell you about a drunk husband who demolished his house with an excavator after an argument with his wife.
He doesn't have anger issues at all.
Yeah. He took it to the next level. And this is a legit story. I had to actually make sure that this wasn't a parody of some sort because it was so unbelievable. But it actually happened. This dude lost his shit. We're going to talk about that. And of course, we'll have overtime after. So we're going to get into it.
I got all our 7 sins here so we can not be on our.
Yeah.
All right. Lust. Gluttony, pride, sloth, wrath, greed, and envy.
I probably have wrath.
Yeah.
I definitely have wrath.
I think I sometimes have, I think I have wrath too, actually.
Yeah, I get pissed when people mess me over. I definitely have wrath.
Listen, the answer to it is this: be patient, moderate your emotions, take deep breaths before reacting.
That's great advice.
Demolish your house.
And then demolish your house. All right, we're going to go to Butts County, Georgia, and a Georgia man who fatally shot his bride's stepfather hours after their outdoor wedding will not face murder charges after prosecutors determined there was not enough evidence to prove he was the aggressor. Aaron White, 33, of Covington, he had been indicted on felony murder charges and some aggravated assault charges in connection with the death of Jason Moghan, who is 44. And what essentially happened in this case was Aaron White and Kaylee White, they were getting married. This was on July 13th of 2024 in a wedding held in the woods of Butts County. The celebration turned deadly before midnight. According to investigators and witness accounts, earlier that evening, there had been an altercation involving another of the bride's relatives. Jason, the bride's stepfather, punched Aaron White in the face at one point. Later, the stepfather and other relatives arrived in separate vehicles, and the other relative allegedly began firing a gun at the event. This is a heck of a wedding. Moghan then charged toward Aaron White, so the stepfather, and Aaron White, who had been shot in the hand, retrieved his own firearm from his truck and opened fire on the stepfather. White has consistently maintained that he acted in self-defense, and judging by that story, it sounds like that might be the case. Yeah. He told investigators and media that the stepfather had threatened to cut him and that he feared for his life. Quote, "The last time I seen him, he was threatening to cut me. So it's a fear for my own life. Sorry somebody had to lose their life, but I had to do what I had to do to protect myself." White's wife, Kaylee, has publicly supported her husband, stating she believes he was protecting himself and their family. Butts County Sheriff Gary Long described the case as one of the clearest examples of self-defense he has seen in his career, and publicly disagreed with the efforts to pursue murder charges. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation handled the case, and an initial grand jury declined to indict White on felony murder. However, after additional crime lab reports, the former district attorney, his name was Jonathan Adams, he presented a case to a second grand jury, which returned an indictment on felony murder and aggravated assault. Now, due to a conflict, the Butts County DA office was disqualified, and the Henry County DA was appointed to handle the prosecution. At that point, in January of 2026, White gets arrested. Then, in early June of 2026, the DA's office filed paperwork to drop the murder charge. That order gets signed by a judge who said, after a thorough review of the evidence and investigation, it has been determined that the state cannot meet its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt at a trial due to lack of evidence. Specifically, prosecutors concluded they couldn't prove that White was the main aggressor. So Aaron and Kaylee White, they expressed relief, with Kaylee telling the media, "We waited 2 years to finally take a breath and realize the nightmare is over as far as the legal side of it." White's defense attorneys said their client never should have faced a second grand jury indictment, and thanked the district attorney and sheriff for the review. And you may wonder about the stepfather's family. They remain devastated and unconvinced. His saying that basically the stepfather was completely unarmed, and the family feels justice was not served. They have compiled their own case file, and indicated they do not plan to drop the matter. So there you have it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, first of all, what was the motive? Because they didn't really cover what they would even say the motive of the whole squabble started over.
Yeah, it just said it earlier in the night there was an altercation.
Yeah. I guess he punched him, but like what led to that, I would be curious. But there's a few things here. Number one, and I don't mean to be funny here at all when I say that's a weird, like, how do you celebrate your anniversary after that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Your wedding anniversary would be a tragic date at that point. But the fact that there was a failure to indict. So you sit before a grand jury, you present your case, and they're like, "Nah, you don't meet the burden." Then they go again to get the second indictment, and then they had to switch the county, if I understood that correctly. So it makes you wonder, and it was due to a conflict. It says a conflict of some sort. So I would be curious to know. I know we can't figure it out obviously right now, but I would be curious to know what changed and caused the conflict. And that was after that second indictment. It seems like, did somebody know somebody and that's how they were able to get that? Or even if crime lab stuff came back, I mean, that's just DNA type style things, like DNA on a gun or whatever. I don't see how that would have made such a difference between the first and second presentation.
And there was no debate. No one's debating that this guy didn't kill his stepfather.
Right.
They're debating whether he was the primary aggressor or whether he was defending himself, and they're just saying there's not enough evidence to say that he wasn't defending himself. Right.
So what I'm getting at is that they failed to indict him the first time because they don't know. They can't
sought an indictment.
Right,
but he wasn't indicted. It was a no bill.
Right. So, but then they said he was indicted after more forensic evidence came back. Well, that's my point. Like, okay, DNA doesn't change motive. DNA doesn't change who's the aggressor. So I don't see,
agree.
What happened there. But that's an interesting one. If he's at his wedding, it doesn't, you're not usually armed to the teeth at your wedding. He had to run to his truck to get the gun. From all accounts of what we know, it does sound like it was,
How do you know he had a truck and not a car?
because he said he ran to his truck.
Oh, it did?
Right there. He
Okay.
ran.
I was just curious. I thought maybe you saw a picture or something.
And if I understood it right, he ran
Yeah, it
to
did
get
say
his
truck.
gun after shots were fired. So that would mean someone else opened fire first, if I'm understanding it correctly. So,
Well, White had been shot in the hand. So the soon-to-be son-in-law,
yeah.
son-in-law, I guess, he got shot in the hand, and then he went and got his firearm. So the
how could you
stepfather
be the
was
main?
armed.
How could you be the main aggressor if you got shot first and didn't even have a weapon on you? I mean, I know you could have run up and punched him first, but I'm getting in the weeds here.
Yeah.
So, but it just sounds like they made a good thing here when they reviewed all the evidence, and you got to be able to prove it.
Sounded like he was defending himself to me, according to that story.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Houston. And we're going to have to talk about a guy that I know that we sing his music every Saturday night in Tiger Stadium during football season. I know I do because they blast it over the speakers. And that's Baton Rouge rapper Boosie BadAzz, also known as Torrance Hatch Jr. He appeared in Harris County Court this past Monday, and he posted an $85,000 bond on a felony aggravated assault charge after prosecutors accused him of striking a security guard in the back of the head with a glass hookah based at Dome nightclub in downtown Houston. After the hearing, Boosie posted a Facebook video dismissing the case as a quote-unquote money grab and insisting the facts would emerge. According to police reports, the incident occurred in the early morning hours of May 24th, which was Memorial Day weekend, at the Dome nightclub while staff were clearing the venue at closing time. A female patron allegedly argued with security after being told the bathrooms were closed. She reportedly struck the guard in the face with her elbow. While the guard was escorting her towards the exit and bending down to help retrieve items she had dropped, he was struck from behind in the top of the head with a glass hookah base. The guard turned around to find blood running down his face and allegedly saw Boosie holding the broken glass base. The victim was taken to the hospital. He required 8 staples to treat the head wound. Prosecutors charged Boosie with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, alleging he intentionally, knowingly, and recklessly caused bodily harm using the glass hookah as a weapon. In his post-court Facebook video, Boosie addressed the charges, saying, quote, "I mean, we in court right now, but this is a money grab, man. This guy wasn't even supposed to be a security in the first place. This N-word done 17, 18 years for aggravated armed robbery with a deadly weapon. He just got caught at the border a couple years back." He added the facts of the case will come out. And he noted that he had already contacted his probation officer upon learning of the warrant days earlier. Boosie's attorney said told the court they plan to vigorously defend him and investigate the case. The defense maintains Boosie was defending another person, described in some reports as either a relative or a niece, as the woman who was being escorted out, and he was trying to de-escalate the situation. They intend to obtain club surveillance footage to support their position and are hopeful the case can be dismissed. Now, the judge set Boosie's bond at $85,000 and allowed a what he called walk-through bond, meaning that he did not have to remain in custody. He was ordered to have no contact with the complaining witness, which is this security guard whose name is Edward Eigelhart, and he said he had to stay away from the Dome nightclub. The next court date will be September the 15th of this year. Now, grainy, leaked cell phone footage from inside the club has circulated online, and it shows a chaotic scene with an object striking someone in the head, but it doesn't clearly identify who threw the hookah base. A man believed to be Boosie is visibly right there on screen, and he's standing in the background watching the aftermath. The Dome nightclub incident adds to Boosie's lengthy legal history. The Baton Rouge rapper was placed on probation earlier this year following gun-related charges in Louisiana. Boosie has long been a polarizing and outspoken figure in Southern hip-hop, known for his raw storytelling, frequent legal battles, and unfiltered social media presence. His quick dismissal of the latest charges as a money grab also came with pointed comments about the alleged victim's background and are consistent with the history of publicly fighting back against accusations. As of now, the case remains pending. Both sides are expected to present additional evidence, including possible video, before the September hearing.
Yeah. Boosie trying to de-escalate that situation. Come on. I mean, so I'm going to de-escalate it by busting a hookah base over this guy's head, or hookah base, or however it's pronounced.
Fun fact, I taught his daughter.
Okay.
It's kind
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
That's
she was
right.
cool. She was a cool kid.
All right. So can I get back to commenting on the article now?
Yeah.
Thank you. So the thing with Boosie is, look, I love his music, but this guy is constantly getting in trouble. He just got in trouble less than a year ago for having a firearm in California. He's in trouble now for bad decisions, Boosie. When you are worth that kind of money, pay someone else to do that stupid stuff for you. Yeah. Don't do it yourself. I love his music, but he's still kind of acting like a child with this stuff. I mean, he needs to grow up a little bit. Boosie spent time in Angola. He knows how it is. He's been charged with murder charges before. He's a great artist, but he's got his issues.
I think he might have been at Angola when I worked there, actually, if I remember correctly, or I might be mixing that up. But yeah, he's obviously well liked here, as far as he also does good things for the community. If you look it up, I'm not saying that he's doing great things, constantly, but he tries to give back in some ways and do things. But when your legal battles continuously outweigh the positive things that you try to do, people are going to get tired of it. And I would hope that he would focus more on his music and all of that, and less on the fighting and the guns and all that BS. Stay out the nightclubs if you think that everyone's going to be doing a money grab.
Right. All right, let's go to the next one. We're gonna go to Bryan, Ohio. And a 31-year-old woman has been indicted on charges including attempted murder after authorities say she broke into her husband's home and she fired a handgun at him while he was sleeping in bed. Amanda Heller was indicted by a grand jury on charges of attempted murder, burglary, domestic violence, and improper discharge of a firearm, and she's currently in custody in Northwest Ohio. Now, according to court documents, the incident occurred at a residence where prosecutors alleged that Heller, armed with a handgun, unlawfully entered the home while her ex-husband was asleep. She allegedly threatened to kill him and then fired 2 rounds inside of that residence. Details on whether the ex-husband was struck by the gunfire or injured have not been released in public filings, and no other individuals were reported harmed in the incident. So Heller faces serious felony charges stemming from what investigators describe as a targeted domestic incident. And, attempted murder carries significant potential penalties under Ohio law, especially in cases involving the use of a firearm during a burglary. No motive has been publicly detailed beyond the allegations that are put forward in that indictment. Now, while this story doesn't contain much more than that, as far as the details of the crime, it's what Miss Heller looks like that has attracted all the attention. So I saw this one, and of course, I headed straight to the comments. And if you're curious what she looks like, go check out the Patreon version. It's a video version, but I went straight to the comments when I saw the lineup photo, or whatever you call it, the booking photo. And I'm just going to read what some of and these are all men,
of course,
as you can imagine. So Chris Metcalf says, so she's single? Leonard Sands says, I wonder if there were any red flags. Kip Smith says, there's someone out there wondering if she's single. And he's absolutely right. Chris Metcalf was. A guy that goes by the name of Marman said, the better looking they are, the crazier they are. That's why all my dates are Shreks. But I will provide conjugal visits.
Nice.
Jimmy Jung Estrada said, last name starts with hell. You think that would be a red flag. Alan Jaster said, I honestly feel like I could change her. Jason Ryan said, fellas, anyone looking for a challenge? And Ryan Hoop said, how much is her bail? Robert Stan says, I can't wait to hear about all the guys that show up in court. And Blaine Richards said, she won't have to worry about commissary.
Nah,
so
she's beautiful.
If you're curious what she looks like, go check out the Patreon version, but definitely get in the comments there. And it just goes to show you, no matter what they look like, they will shoot you in your sleep if you're an ex.
That's true. First of all, her mugshot is better than any time I've ever tried to get dressed and look nice. She's prettier than I have ever been on my best day in her mugshot. But yeah, so big time problems here. Inexcusable. You cannot go in someone else's house and break in and then go shoot them. So this is classic case, domestic violence. People are pissed off. Sex is one of those, lust, I guess, shows that whenever you get in a relationship with somebody, they'll blow your brains out if they get mad enough. But if the fact that it doesn't say whether he was shot or not is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like if you said, I'm going to kill you and then shot him, you'd assume he got shot.
Yeah.
If not, where else did you shoot?
Well, she probably missed.
How the hell you miss if you're sneaking up on somebody sleeping? He's sleeping.
I don't know.
She's a bad shot then.
It's possible. All
right. We'll have to follow up on that one. I'm interested to see where it goes. But yeah, her picture is definitely going to attract some attention online. All right. Let's go to Las Vegas, Nevada.
All right.
The owner of one of 3 competition horses stabbed at a major barrel racing event in Las Vegas has revealed that the 17-year-old suspect had a history of making comments about her and her horse and had attempted to meet them in person prior to the attack. The revelation adds a disturbing layer to the case in which the teenage competitor allegedly used a knife to injure 3 horses in their stalls early last Saturday morning at South Point Arena and Equestrian Center during the National Barrel Horse Association Professionals Choice Las Vegas Super Show. Say that twice.
Yeah.
Jim, would you like to go to Las Vegas? Oh, why? Where are we going? Oh, to the National Barrel Horse Association Professionals Choice Las Vegas Super Show.
Right.
Golly. All right. So police were called after 2 a.m. on Saturday, May 30th, after horses were found injured in the barn. Investigators determined the wounds were intentional and inflicted with a sharp object believed to be a knife. 3 horses, Detail, Sully, and Rocket, suffered multiple stab wounds but survived after on-site veterinary care. The injuries were serious enough to sideline all 3 horses from competition for the remainder of the event. Owners have described significant trauma to the animals, with one horse now shying away from human touch. The suspect, who is a 17-year-old barrel racing competitor at the show, had access to the barn arena. She was identified by detectives with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's Animal Cruelty Unit, taken into custody from a nearby hotel, and booked on 12 counts of willful or malicious killing, maiming, or torturing an animal, and 3 counts of felony malicious destruction of private property. The district attorney, Stephen Wolfson's office, is petitioning to have the teen tried as an adult. Ariel Phillips, owner of the horse named Detail, spoke out about the suspect's previous behavior. Phillips said that the teenager follows her on social media and had made comments about trying to meet her and the horse at last year's NBHA Super Show. This year, she happened to be in the same warm-up pen at the same time as me and officially met me and Detail. This was one night before the stabbing. She made comments on Detail's markings. Phillips has described the teen in strong terms, calling her an obsessed stalker in social media posts and interviews. She expressed heartbreak over her horse's condition. To see my horse Detail, who is my entire world and my best friend, in so much pain, helpless and injured, this situation is absolutely devastating. Another competitor reportedly described interactions with the suspect as kind of scary. The NBHA issued a statement confirming the suspect was a competitor whose membership has since been suspended, and the 3 injured horses are expected to recover physically as the case remains under investigation. A hearing on the district attorney's request to try the 17-year-old as an adult is expected in the coming weeks.
Yeah, unbelievable that a competitor would go to that length and stab your three different horses that were scheduled to compete in this event just to win.
I don't know.
I didn't think barrel racing was. I mean, I know it's a big sport, but that's freaking competitive right there.
Yeah, but
man.
I didn't read this
You're
as
gonna stab them.
I didn't read this as being competitive. I read this as
it was a competitor that.
No, I know,
them.
but the way I read this is that this even though she was in the competition, I think she was so obsessed with that woman and the horses that she stabbed him so she could be a part of them somehow, like so she could be tied to them. I don't think it was about winning.
That's not what I got out of it.
That's what I got out of it. Okay. Because, like when people shoot celebrities and stuff, whenever they're obsessed with them, it's not. It's because they want to own it. They want to be a part of it.
But why would you stab the horses?
Because she would, like the owner said that she was an obsessed stalker and followed this horse online and did all of these things. I really don't think this was about winning the competition. I think it was about being a crazed fan.
I don't know. Seemed like it to me, but
Jim,
we'll just agree to disagree.
I'm a fan of yours. You better watch your back.
I don't ride horses, though, unfortunately. What, are you going to key my car?
I'll stab you.
That would be even worse.
Allegedly, and I'm joking. The shirt I'm wearing even says allegedly. Jim gave it to me.
Yep, that's right. Allegedly. All right, we're going to bring our first news segment to you right now. It's called International Indiscretions. And in this brand new segment, we're going to bring you a high-profile crime from around the globe. And this week, we're going to Northern Ireland, Belfast, to be specific. And I want to shout out listener Gina Dupree-Smith for sending this story in. And it's about a YouTuber who staged a fake live stream to cover up his pregnant girlfriend's murder and his sentence for that. So a Northern Irish YouTuber who murdered his pregnant girlfriend and attempted to cover it up with a meticulously staged fake live stream has been sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 31 years. And what that means is after 31 years, he'll have the opportunity for a parole. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll get it. Stephen McCullough, who is 36, was convicted of murdering 32-year-old Natalie McNally, who was 15 weeks pregnant with his child at her home on December 18th of 2022. On the night of the killing, he uploaded and scheduled a 6-hour live gaming stream on his YouTube channel, and he appeared to be playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City from his home, even commenting to viewers and claiming technical issues prevented live chat interaction. Now, in reality, that stream was pre-recorded 4 days earlier. Digital forensic analysis proved the footage had been created somewhere around December 14th of 2022 and was simply broadcast as if it were live before being deleted shortly after it ended. While the fake stream was running, McCullough traveled from his home to another home in disguise, wearing dark clothing, a face covering, and carrying a rucksack, which is like a backpack. And closed caption TV captioned him arriving at 8:52 p.m. at the victim's home. Neighbors reported hearing screams shortly after 9 p.m. and McNally was subjected to brutal and a sustained attack. She was stabbed in the neck, strangled, and struck at least 5 times in the head, suffering facial fractures and broken bones in her neck. The post-mortem autopsy concluded death resulted either from stab wounds or neck compression, and her unborn baby also died. McCullough returned home after the killing. The following evening, he called emergency services from her home, claiming he found her and attempted CPR, and he's crying on this call saying she's gone and there's blood everywhere. And he initially told police an abusive ex-partner was responsible. And he also mentioned, hey, I was on a live stream, and he kind of used that as an alibi. But police, they grew suspicious. He was released after initial questioning, but rearrested weeks later once digital forensics came back and showed that he wasn't really on that live stream. They also were able to access some phone records from his device, showing that his phone was inactive during key periods when he was apparently beating the shit out of this poor girl. So he has this trial, and it took 5 weeks. It concluded, and a jury unanimously found him guilty of that murder after just 2 hours of deliberation. He didn't testify in that trial, and he was sentenced to life in prison, as I said, with a minimum term of 31 years before he can be considered for release. Her family spoke about their devastation. Her father said he hoped the sentence would serve as a deterrent against violence toward women. And so there you have it.
God, lost their daughter and their grandchild.
And this guy, he went through some pretty wild steps of trying to cover this up. I mean, he had definitely premeditated all of this.
Yeah, and this is proof that when people think they're smarter than the average bear, they ought to spend a little more time, testing their own intelligence. Because if you pre-record this and you stream it live, the metadata of the original recording will very clearly and easily show when that was recorded. And then, when you're traveling, okay, from point A to point B, if your phone isn't traveling with you and hitting the towers while you're traveling, then that means the phone's at home and it's inactive, which means you couldn't be live streaming from your phone anyway. Like basic knowledge of how that would work.
Well, I think you would live stream. Well, I guess you could do it either way. But some people do it from a computer.
You're right. But it said inactivity in his phone. That's why I leapt to that conclusion. But
it could be.
Very elaborate, super elaborate to do that. It shows, like you said, very in-depth thinking and this is horrible that you would go to that extent to cover it up. And they didn't give motive, I guess, right? Just that I guess he didn't want to have a baby with her or something. I don't know.
Right.
But that's terrible. And now 2 lives are gone. And congratulations, you get to go to prison and tell everybody you killed your own child and his or her mother. All right, we're going to go right here to Hammond, which is about, 35 minutes from us, depending on if you go the speed limit or not.
Yep.
All right, now this is going to be our segment of Foolish Felons. So foolish. A 41-year-old man known to...
Why didn't you do with International Indiscretions? No,
I didn't have
be worn out then.
I know.
Got to come up with something. You got to say, good day, mate, when we do International...
We're going abroad. What if that was it?
Okay. Do that one.
A 41-year-old man known to Tangipahoa Parish authorities as the Poopetrator was taken into custody Friday after 2 people tried to do a citizen's arrest at his house, which led to a disturbance call, and then all 3 of them ended up getting arrested at the same time. Gilbert Bruce Starkey Jr. of Hammond has been wanted on 2 counts of felony theft since at least March in connection with alleged theft of septic tank equipment and parts. Investigators said Starkey stole items including an air compressor from a septic tank and a blower from a home, with each piece of equipment valued at more than $1,500. Detectives reported spotting similar items being offered for sale on social media, which helped them link him to the crimes. The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office has publicly sought the public's help to locate Starkey earlier this year, referring to him as the Poopetrator in their appeals for information. According to the deputies, they were called out to Starkey's home on a disturbance report. When they got there, 2 individuals claimed that they were in the process of conducting a citizen's arrest on Starkey related to those theft accusations. Deputies took Starkey into custody on the outstanding felony theft warrants. The 2 people attempting the citizen's arrest were also arrested. Guess why, Jim?
Why?
They had outstanding warrants.
Imagine that.
No additional charges stemming from the disturbance itself have been reported at this time. Starkey remains in custody, and the case stems from multiple theft reports all over Hammond involving these septic tank parts, and they have been investigating the incidences and tracking all of the attempts to resell these stolen items. Now, citizens' arrests are legal in Louisiana under certain circumstances, but can quickly escalate into volatile situations, as was seen in this incident. All 3 individuals involved were booked following the response. Starkey's next court proceedings have not been detailed yet publicly. The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office continues to handle the case.
Yeah, and a couple of comments on this. First of all, that's the one and only time I'll probably ever hear of someone stealing equipment used in a shit can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to shit tank.
Why would...
I mean, ugh.
Of all things to steal.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one as long as I've been covering crime, but this guy...
There must be a market for it.
Right. And they mentioned citizen's arrest, and people may wonder what those... what the parameters are of doing that actually in the state of Louisiana. And the difference is, in the state of Louisiana, they have to be in the act of committing a felony, and you have to actually see them committing the felony. You can't use quote unquote probable cause, in other words, to make a citizen's arrest. So if you're at a bank and someone goes in there and robs the bank and you happen to be behind them in line and you grab them and you say, call the police, and you're staying here till the police get here, that's legal. You can do that, but you can't see someone rob a bank, they flee the scene, they go to their house, and somehow you stumble across a car that looks like their car in front of a house and go to their door and say, you're under citizen's arrest.
Right.
You can't do that because they're not in the actual act of committing that felony. Really, you should call the cops no matter what. These These jackasses, not only did they not call the cops, not only did they make a citizen's arrest where you can't do that, but they also had warrants. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. If you got a warrant, don't make a citizen's arrest because they're going to get your ID as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad the Poopetrator got caught, but the guys that caught him, come on, guys.
It looks like
tighten
they're
up.
all in a ton of shit.
We should, we need that sound effect because that was a womp womp.
That was awesome.
All right, let's look. We definitely need to get a sound effect together for this one.
All right, what is
because I'm bringing you to Lustful Lawbreakers. And we're going to tell you, this is absolutely going to blow your mind. It actually has a very sad ending, but an OnlyFans model who was originally charged with murder after a client died during an extreme fetish session has accepted a plea deal and pleaded guilty to a reduced charge, involuntary manslaughter. So she was charged with murder, pleaded that down. Her name is Michaela Rylersdam. She is 32, and she's expected to be sentenced to 4 years in prison after reaching an agreement with prosecutors in San Diego County, California. So according to prosecutors, on the night of the incident, 56-year-old Michael Dale paid Michaela more than, get this, $11,000.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I'm in the
$11,000
business
to participate in a paid fetish encounter at his home. Now, let me tell you what this dude was into.
Okay.
Dale requested to be wrapped in saran wrap like a mummy, to have woman's boots glued to his feet, and have adhesive poured into his eyes to seal them shut. So
I can't even.
Yeah,
I don't
look. Everybody's got a little freak in him. This was the dude's freak, I guess. Prosecutors, no, it's not permanent. He just wants you to pour the adhesive into his eyes. He gonna wash it out later. Prosecutors said Dale ultimately died of asphyxiation after a plastic bag was placed over his head. Duct tape was wrapped around his mouth and face, and his body was encased in the plastic wrap. When authorities arrived, they found Dale unresponsive and wrapped in layers of plastic. I can only imagine the calls for backup during that situation. Y'all got to see this, you know. Michaela was arrested at the scene. So Michaela was initially charged with second-degree murder. However, on May 6th of 2026, she entered a guilty plea to a lesser charge of involuntary manslaughter as part of a negotiated plea agreement with San Diego County, and she's scheduled to be sentenced actually on June 6th. So that would be tomorrow, I believe, or it'd be Saturday. Under the terms of the deal, she is expected to receive a 4-year term, as I told you. Michaela is the mother of 3. She's been active on OnlyFans, producing adult content, and Dale was a paying client who had arranged the session in advance. Prosecutors have not alleged that Michaela intended to kill Dale, but they argued her actions during the session showed a reckless disregard for life. Now, Dale's roommate of only 5 days, I'm sure he was like, whoa, what have I got myself into?
Yeah.
I've been living here for 5 days, and this dude wrapping himself up with saran wrap.
Oh, my word.
So he testified at the hearing, and he said that he overheard Dale asking Michaela to stop and even offering her more money if she did at one point. Michaela's defense pointed out that she's the one who called 911, that she did perform life-saving measures on Dale and was at the scene when police arrived. The case has drawn significant attention due to the extreme nature of the fetish request and the fact that this whole act was being recorded for content for OnlyFans. So it's all on video. Michaela remains in custody pending her sentencing in a plea deal on that, on obviously the murder charge. It was dropped down, but it's left some questions about accountability in paid fetish encounters.
First of all,
So,
shouldn't there have been
$11,000.
a code word or some shit if you really wanted someone to stop? Shouldn't you? Like banana.
According to the roommate, he was saying stop.
Well, I know.
That'd be a good code word to have.
But if
quit pouring glue in my eyes.
If you're pouring glue in my eyes, I don't know that stop is what
gluing heels to his body. Too.
Imagine being sexed to death. And first of all, wouldn't the saran wrap get in the way of a male encounter?
I mean, look, I'm not into that. That ain't my bag right there. You start pulling out glue and sticking it in my eyes, I'm gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Fist fighting if you try to glue shoes on me and shit.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I feel bad. Look, he died, and that's very sad, and we're not laughing at that. But y'all got to admit that's pretty freaky right there. If anything fits Lustful Lawbreakers, that right there does. But $11,000
brown chicken
to pour glue in your eyes and wrap you in saran wrap. I'll wrap anybody in saran wrap for 11 G.
Right now, I will do it on camera for you. I will wrap your head in saran wrap.
I don't want to be in no saran wrap. No, thank you.
I don't know what happened, guys. He stopped talking. You're back there trying to talk with saran wrap over your head.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's terrible. All right.
For me.
Let's go to Miami, Florida.
All right.
A federal judge has declined to jail a 16-year-old Florida teenager accused of murdering and sexually assaulting his 18-year-old stepsister aboard a Carnival cruise ship last year, allowing him to remain in the custody of a family member while he awaits trial on adult charges. And you'll remember, if you've been a listener for a while, we covered this story when it first broke, and now we're kind of getting to see more about this. So U.S. Magistrate Judge Edwin Torres issued the ruling Wednesday following a hearing in Miami, where prosecutors had argued for detention, citing the severity of the alleged crimes. The teenager, identified in court documents as TH or Timothy Hudson, walked out of the courthouse after the decision rather than being taken into custody. Hudson has pled not guilty to the charges of first-degree murder and aggravated sexual abuse. He faces the possibility of life in prison if convicted. So the case stems back from November of 2025 in the death of Anna Kepner during a family vacation on the Carnival Horizon. According to court documents and an autopsy, Kepner's body was found concealed under a bed in the cabin that she shared with Hudson and another teen before the ship returned to Florida. The Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office determined the cause of death was mechanical asphyxia. Prosecutors said that she had been pinned down and violently sexually assaulted, and that it likely took 3 to 5 minutes for her to be strangled to death. Because the incident occurred in international waters, the case falls under federal jurisdiction rather than the state court. Hudson was initially charged as a juvenile, but in February, Judge Torres allowed him to live with an uncle under electronic monitoring. After a federal grand jury indicted him as an adult in April, prosecutors moved to revoke his release, arguing he posed a danger to the community and was a greater flight risk now that he faces a potential life sentence. The assistant U.S. attorney Alejandra Lopez told the court that there is clear and convincing evidence that this defendant is a danger to the community, noting the crimes involved the violent rape and killing of a stepsister with whom he had no apparent relational strife. Defense attorney Evan Kuehl argued that Hudson has complied with all conditions of his release for months without incident and poses a low flight risk. Judge Torres acknowledged that an adult facing similar charges would almost certainly be detained, but he must weigh the defendant's young age. The judge agreed Hudson appeared to be a low flight risk, but sought additional information from the U.S. Marshals Service regarding the logistics of housing him in Central Florida closer to his family in the Titusville area rather than in South Florida where the trial is set. It's remaining unclear whether or when the judge will issue a final written order, but for now, Hudson will continue living with that family member under existing conditions. Anna Kepner was a high school cheerleader at Temple Christian School in Titusville. Her father, Christopher Kepner, who is married to Hudson's mother, has expressed frustration with the decision, telling media outlets he wants the teen held in custody. The family has previously stated that they are placing their trust in the justice system to pursue the truth with care and integrity, describing the situation as deeply painful and complex. A trial date has been set for September the 8th in federal court in Miami.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I don't agree with that decision at all. I mean, this is a murder charge, possible rape and murder charge, and I understand everybody's innocent until proven guilty in this country. I get that, but I don't know that I agree with him being released to his parents.
I don't think I do either, and I don't.
It seems like
care.
They got a lot of evidence here. I don't know. I mean, I guess everyone's entitled to a bond. But
I don't care that he's 16. Rape and murder charges, apparently, you know, they've got enough to charge him. And I agree. Anyone else in this situation would be held. They wouldn't be letting someone out if they were 30 and they did this. Why? Right. Because, you know, you're capable of doing this.
Well, they let murderers out on bond.
I know, but if age is what he's citing as the reason he did not have him held, I guess when they looked at all the logistics of it, they said, you know, he doesn't have the ability to fly away, or he doesn't, you know, without someone's help, he wouldn't be able to. Yeah,
he's not necessarily a flight risk. You know, maybe a runaway risk, but
I mean, he's been switched to an adult. You know, he's going to have big problems in prison. I know he's innocent right now until proven guilty, but that baby face right there, if I was his classification officer, bro, you'd have to be in a cell, because you want to talk about rape and problems behind bars. Yeah. He's got a tough road ahead of him.
Well, any 16-year-old for sure. Yeah. All right, let's go to the true crime time machine. And we're going to go all the way back to June 5th of 1968. Got a tough one here, and one that most people are probably at least somewhat familiar with. But this occurred this day in history, and it was supposed to be a night of triumph. Just after midnight on June 5th of 1968, Senator Robert F. Kennedy stood before a jubilant crowd. This was in the Embassy Ballroom of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. He had just won the California Democratic presidential primary, which was a critical victory at that point in history. The crowd chanted his name as he delivered a hopeful victory speech, and minutes later, he was dying on the floor of the hotel kitchen. So after addressing supporters, Kennedy exited through a back hallway and kitchen area to avoid the crush of the crowd, and he would shake hands with hotel staff, make his way toward a press area, and a young man stepped forward from the crowd by the name of Sirhan Sirhan, who was a 24-year-old Palestinian immigrant. He pulled a .22 caliber revolver and he opened fire. Kennedy was shot 3 times, once in the head, twice in the upper body. 5 other people were also wounded in the chaos, and as Kennedy lay bleeding on the floor, a busboy named Juan Romero cradled his head and placed a rosary in his hand. That haunting photograph of the moment that would become one of the most defining images of 1968. Kennedy was rushed to Good Samaritan Hospital. Doctors fought to save his life, but the wound to his brain was too severe. At 1:44 a.m. on June 6 of 1968, just over 26 hours after the shooting, Robert F. Kennedy was pronounced dead at the age of 42 years old. And the world wondered, who was Sirhan Sirhan? Well, he was Jordanian. He was a Jordanian-born Palestinian who had moved to the United States as a child. And during his trial, he admitted to the shooting, but claimed he had no memory of the actual event. He stated his motive was political, and he was enraged by Kennedy's support for Israel following the 1967 Six-Day War. Prosecutors argued the killing was premeditated and that Sirhan had been seen at the hotel earlier that day, and a notebook was found in his apartment containing writings expressing hatred toward Kennedy. He was convicted of first-degree murder in 1969 and originally sentenced to death. However, California abolished the death penalty in 1972, and so that sentence was commuted to life in prison. Now, the year 1968 was really a particularly bad year for the United States. Just 2 months earlier, on April 4th of 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated in Memphis. Cities, of course, across the country erupted in riots. The Vietnam War was raging at this time, no end in sight. College campuses were in upheaval. And now another Kennedy, the brother of the slain president, had been gunned down while running for president himself, and many Americans believed the country was falling apart. So there you have it. That happened exactly 57 years ago on June 5th, 1968, in a very sad time in American history.
So I want to say something about that, and it's not about, I'm not talking politics here, but this is one of those examples, and I know it's famous and it's old, but, you know, I like to be up to date on politics. You know, I like to watch the news. I like to read up and see kind of what's going on in the world. But I made a conscious decision a few years ago that I had to step away from watching it 24/7 and reading it 24/7 because, you know, you're going to get pissed off no matter what side of the aisle you're on. At some point, it's going to start pissing you off. You're not going to agree or something like that. And I'd never wanted to get to a point where I was walking around angry. You know, and politics will do that. It will just make you angry. And so I stopped watching it. I'm up to date and I do pay attention to things, but I don't watch it or listen to it like I used to because I never want to become somebody like that becomes so enraged over politics that you would be willing to go shoot somebody. That's wild.
Yeah. And, you know, I wasn't alive at that point. That was about 7 years before I was born. But I'll tell you, I've done a lot of studying on Robert Kennedy, you know, throughout my life, and what a amazing human that he was. He did so many good things. He was attorney general when his brother was the president, and was absolutely critical in the civil rights movement, and you know, making sure that this white, black can't go to use the same bathroom and water fountain. It's so bizarre to even know that existed at one point in time, so recent to where we are now, but it did. And he was critical, and his brother was critical in changing that in society. It was the right thing to do. And so who knows what he could have done, but 42 years old, which is not old.
Oh my God, my age.
He was just a baby.
He was my age, and he got assassinated. It's wild. Yeah. All right, let's go to Buffalo Township, Pennsylvania, where a 48-year-old Pennsylvania man is facing felony charges after allegedly using a Kubota excavator to rip apart the rear of his home during a drunken argument with his wife over the end of their marriage. If there's anything I was ever taught in life, my mother said, don't tear up your own shit when you get mad. That's stupid. And I think it's good advice even in this case.
He might have been worried it was going to be her shit.
Yeah. Eric Pierwza, I don't know how you would pronounce this, Pierwza. So however you want to say that. All right,
Eric P.
Eric P. of Buffalo Township in Butler County was taken into custody after the dramatic incident which unfolded this past Tuesday morning. According to the police, he had been drinking all night before returning home and arguing with his wife. When she told him the marriage was over, he responded allegedly by saying, quote, if it's over, I'll tear the house down, end quote. Moments later, he climbed into an excavator and began demolishing the back of their house while his wife and their 2 daughters were still inside. The sound of heavy machinery could be heard in the background of the wife's 911 call, during which dispatchers also heard yelling and all sorts of commotion. After causing extensive damage that compromised the structural integrity of the entire home, Mr. P reportedly went back inside, grabbed a gym bag, and fled the scene towards neighboring Fawn Township. He was later located and arrested by police. No injuries were reported to anyone in the home. Now, he's been charged with causing a catastrophe. That's interesting. He's interested in causing a catastrophe, reckless endangerment, and disorderly conduct. Court records show his wife intends to seek a protective order from abuse. I would agree with that. Neighbors expressed shock at the allegations. A longtime resident told local reporters, 42 years I've been married, but I've never threatened to tear the house down. Another neighbor who described knowing Mr. P as a big outdoorsman said he was stunned by the events. The case has drawn national widespread attention for the extreme and dangerous escalation of a domestic dispute, and authorities haven't released any additional details about the couple's history or the extent of the financial damage to the property. He does remain in custody as the case moves forward, and we do have the pictures for you.
Yeah, you're seeing those right now, and I'm telling you, they're absolutely unbelievable. This whole freaking story is unbelievable. You know how drunk you got to be to jump in your excavator and tear your house down? Hey, if I can't have this house, no one can.
I've heard of, that's couples going like bankrupt or both of them refusing to pay a house note and they lose their house because they don't want to, contribute. But tearing the sucker down.
The whole front of it.
Gee
He ripped the whole front of the house down.
So there's like there's a stack there for like their chimney, and you can just see where he just started taking chunks of the roof off. That's wild. Go to Patreon, y'all. Patreon. You can see that on either one of our Patreons. Exposed or Unspeakable. And you can see all these photos on the video while we're recording. That's crazy.
Yeah. Guy he must have been on that fireball. That's all I can say.
Fireball.
Fireball will make you do that.
It will. And tequila has been known to also.
Tequila will definitely make me do that. I can't drink tequila, man. I get mean as shit.
I'm the happiest drunk.
On tequila?
I'm just a happy person.
Dude, tequila is no joke. I got to stay away from it. I learned that young in life.
I bit
Like
the worm
20.
in a tequila one time, and that was enough to set me off.
It'll make you see the spirit horse.
I did.
Worms.
I changed my religion after. No, again.
Changed my religion.
But I saw colors and smelled numbers.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts?
Yeah, look, the show's going great. We so appreciate y'all sending in the articles to us. Continue to do so. And we just love and appreciate everybody for listening and for commenting and for being a part of the show. It's great.
And quickly, if you want to check out the Exposed Patreon or the Unspeakable Patreon, we do a video version of this. And we also have at least four additional stories. That is called Overtime. We're going to head that way right now. On Overtime, you're going to hear about a new segment called Elevated Offenses. And all I got to say is don't mess with an MMA fighter on a plane.
Word.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about a CIA officer who was caught with $40 million in gold bars.
Why not?
A new Retirement is a Bitch segment. That's right. We're going to talk about people who are retirement age or older that get arrested for crazy stuff.
Hey.
And this one's a barbell attack.
You get old enough, you stop caring, I guess.
That's right. And we also have a new segment called Viral Villainy. And that's basically a segment where we're going to cover someone who it's the crime of the week, if you will.
Yeah.
The most viral crime as rated by Google. So,
And we have to trust
it'll
the
be
Google,
fun.
don't we?
We got to trust the Google. They know everything. Too much, as a matter of fact. So we'll get into that as well. We'll see all of you on Overtime. If you're a subscriber, everyone else, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
And we are your host of Crime
Wire
Weekly.